Hello there, everybody, and welcome to the second episode of the Fortress of Boat Thrower. I find this name so ridiculously fitting, considering the fact that we're actually trying to get ourselves a bridge over to the other side of the world. So, last episode, I have set up shop with the very basics. We have successfully flooded a shaft down at the shore. A wise commenter has suggested the idea that this was probably just the waves sloshing into the staircase. I pretty much second that theory. So, for today, we have the survival in mind. So, I'm already preparing an irrigation chamber here, and for today, I want to focus myself into the food and drink production. Well, drink mostly, because that's what dwarves really need. But at the end of the day, if we don't get our booze production running ASAP, there will be riot, destruction, and chaos, because dwarves don't run dry. So, we got to get ourselves an area where we're going to work and an area where we're going to farm. So, I've already decided more or less to use this area here for our agriculture. We're going to set up an irrigation today. So that means we got quite a lot of work to do. So to put up the very first things, we're going to start and set up the water supply. So in that regard, we're going to start here. Yeah. So if it doesn't make sense yet, of course, there are many ways how you can do something in Dwarf Fortress, but this is one of the methods that I personally like to go for an irrigation system. Tell me probably in the comments what you like to go for. So we're going to go right here. So this is going to be that staircase. And then we're digging out all that as a connector to the water. At the end of the day, we're just going to remove this tile here, and we're going to have a water canal with that. Okay, but there's still a lot of work that we need to get done. After all, we want that water down there at this chamber. So we still have to dig our way through here. And then we'll say add up some staircase like here. And then we need to dig out all that. Oh, whoopsie. And then we put a staircase in the center. I'm going to explain what the whole construction here is supposed to do for us in a hot minute. What we do need now, what we don't have, is a mechanics workshop, because stuff won't work without parts. Mechanical parts, that is. And we're going to craft these. Okay, so I really hope that my orders will be followed through. And then we gotta set up the kitchen. Yeah. Alright, I'm pretty sure that currently there's still exactly these jobs being done. Very happy about the fact that we got some lignite here. That is so good for us. This means the entire rock salt layer should be interspersed with lignite, so we can actually get ourselves, or our steel production will be massive. I think it will be mostly limited due to the fact that we only have this little portion of land available. It's probably going to be the biggest issue there. So, now the first constructions will be made. We're going to make ourselves a bridge here. Right there. This is what we're going to use to block the water when we're done with it, you know? We don't want to flood ourselves. That would be very unwise. So the next thing we do is we're going to go and dig ourselves. Well, we're going to make that staircase happen here. And what we're doing now will be a staircase that leads into nothing. Alright, so let's see. We got to be on the clock here. So let's talk about the food production and everything. So I need an area where we can do this safely, and I've decided that we're going to use these hallways here. So can I fit in another irrigation chamber here? Actually not. So this all can go. There we go. This'll help. Let's erase that and make it a channel digging job. So it's going to be clear what they're supposed to do here. Okay, so next step, we're going to craft us some rock mechanisms. We need these to put levers on the bridges and whatnot, so we are going to make us 5 rock mechanisms. Then, what's left? We need a hatch. So, we make a rock hatch cover here. Most important thing in the fortress. Thank you. So... okay, so we got to change something about the priorities here. I want that shoveling job up there to be done. There we go. So this is going to be where we're going to let the water rush through. Here we're going to set up a lever right there. Ah yeah, we need to construct the mechanisms first, but we're getting there, my friends. We're getting there. The irrigation project is almost done. This thing requires a door, of course. Doors are absolutely mandatory. And we need that hatch cover, because that's going to go right there. Alright. Things are taking shape. It's good. So let's set up the necessary things. We need a still. Probably need way more than one. So I'm going to go and let the still sit here. Alright. Then we need the other things, but one thing at a time. I also gotta gotta go on the standing orders. So we don't automatically collect webs, because that's just a way to kill yourself. We're going to go and forbid other did. That's also another thing that's really pissing people off quite heavily. We exclude children from chores, and we make only a farmer's harvest. This is okay for now, and most importantly, you guys are not allowed to cook the... wait a sec, you are allowed to brew the plump helmets, but you're not allowed to cook them. There we go. Because if you cook plump helmets, you destroy the seeds, and you destroy your entire industry there. And I also forbid for the time being that with booze, that the cooking with booze, because that's just also another source of problems early on. Later down the road, it doesn't matter. Later, we have so much drink that it doesn't really matter. You can't afford that. But at the beginning, I've made the experience that really helps to limit that. We're going to set up a fishery next, because that's where we can process the fish into something eatable. Very important after all. And now let's see. I hope we have enough mechanisms. Not sure about that though. I don't think we have. So this lever will go for the hatch. And the next one will go for this one. Alright. So I think I should order a couple of extra rock mechanisms to get the job done here. Ah, they are already in the making. Wonderful. But we're going to order a few more after that. These are just so useful overall that I don't want to exclude myself from that. Okay, so we can now link the lever to this beauty here. And this lever will be linked to this beauty here. So the only thing that we don't have right now is a drain. This is a bit of a problem, because if I do this like I wanted to do here, there will be no option for me to, well, how to put it, close off the water supply. So how are we going to do this? It's actually not that hard. We just need a spot where the water can flow to in excess. But we can make that afterwards. I just realized that it's no problem to divert that until later. I have a plan in mind. Water in this game always requires forethought. That's just the thing. Most fun in this game, you know, the one with exclamation marks, came from not handling water correctly. So, we're going to set up a butcher, because that's also basics for the food production. And let's see, what did I miss? It's been a while. We need the farmer's workshop for processing all these plants that we're planting out. It's not immediately important, but it will be. And after that, we're just lacking a kitchen. And a tanner. Yeah. So I leave the room up here open for future stills, because I know that we're going to need them. You always need them. And I'll drop the tanner here into the corner. Probably going to relocate that workshop later. Okay, so we're now only waiting for these mechanisms to be linked. My dog is going for a wild hunt again. So we can link that. Oh, we cannot link anything because we don't have accessible mechanisms. Yeah. But we will be getting there any moment, don't you worry. There we go. So we got that chamber now done. Oh, I realized we need something. We need another hatch. Doesn't help. Alright. So that's why I am ordering so many mechanisms, because I know we do need them. Let's put that onto higher priority. I need those mechanisms quite badly. It does take a while because those fools are picking up the rock the stone chunks from God knows where, but you know, it is as it is early on. So the fish is being made dinner ready, but it's extremely important that we put up a stockpile zone where we are allowed to store foodstuff. So there we go. Foodstuff is very, very wide, so we're going to exclude drink. Oh, whoopsie. Drink out of this. I'll be putting up a new stockpile zone for drink exclusively, because that's just, you know, that's what experience has shown me to be a wise choice, because your dwarves will require a lot of drink. So logistically, this ain't the optimal choice yet, but we're going to be optimizing our logistics sometime later down the road. Alright, so this will at least lead to the food being transported to where it's needed. So let's see, how's the labor working? I really gotta check out that stuff is actually working out as intended. So we got one planter, really important. This is going to be very important, and the planter can be also the gatherer, because they go over the same skill. Okay, so let's just fetch up or hope that this hatch is done. Yeah. So this is so important because if we don't have a lever on that hatch here, we will be unable to stop the water down there, and that's very, very undesirable. It's basically good to have floodgates and chambers for water so you can control it better. At least that's always been my approach. This game has so many ways of dealing with things that I frown from preaching anything as the correct way or nonsense like that, because it seriously is not working like that. This game is very, very deep and wide, so good. We're going to go for a couple of really, really crappy bedrooms. Every dwarf from here and there will hate them because they're not in stone, but it is better than no bedroom, you know? Gotta be happy with what you got. Alright, so we're going to wait for that bad boy here to be finished. and then we can finally open the floodgates. We don't need to be too worried here, all in all, because we can survive from the things that we can pluck from the ground here. What's really important now is that we're going to order ourselves, I think it was as the crafts dwarf. Let me check. I need the rock stuff. The rock pots. There we go. So rock pots are integral for me because they are basically barrels made out of stone, and I love this. So we're going to make sure that we always have a couple of empty rock pots, and we're going to make them. Crafts dwarf is extremely important because there will be no food or booze production without enough containers to store the stuff in. So we're going to set up our still now real quick because it's really important. We do brewing from plants and from fruits. The other way around, but whatever. So the idea here is really easy. For starters, we're going to say whenever there's anything we can brew, go for it. Do it. And that's the entire setup that we're going to go for. Yeah, at this point. Later down the road, I'll be reconfiguring this because this is just not ideal in the bigger picture. At some point, I do limit the production of booze because after 2000 drink, you really don't need that much more. It's just turning into a problem of logistics to handle all that new stuff. Requires new containers, and it's a never-ending vicious cycle. Anywho, we're gonna link that bad boy here. And now we can pull the lever, Jurist. So it should work now, as intended. So, what's happening now? Or at least I hope so. Oh, Jurist pulled the lever before it was linked. Okay, well, that's why you test systems before you activate them, by the way. Alright, so we got this all now. And now we can flip the switch, Jurist. I had to do this at least once, you know. So that's been linked. Let's put that on a high priority. I want that whole thing open. Finally. And now we can pull that thing. Alright, this hatch is open, so water can enter. Oh boy, I'm excited. We're going to open the connection to the ocean. This is actually madness, you know, but doesn't matter. It's only madness if you are not preparing yourself correctly. And this will result in finest farming grounds. So I think what happened here is I need to pull it twice because we pulled it once incorrectly. But then it should finally work. There we go. Bridge is raised now. That means we can now safely dig a channel here. There it goes. So this will destroy this tile and the tile below. That's why you dig channels. So, dear mining personnel, we're waiting on your engagement here. They're sleeping, by the way. This does happen to the best of dwarves. We all fall asleep from time to time. Anywho, so we have a nice resupply of drink. So stuff's working out decently good at that in that regard. And now you see, this is now pulling up. Now we pull that lever again. I love water interactions in this game. Did I already mention? So, water now is pressing itself through the chamber here, and as you see here, the water is also traversing relatively slow because there's only a low amount of room available for the water to traverse through, and this is now filling up the chamber for us. This chamber is exactly large enough to host enough water for this room to dissipate in. Gonna show you in a hot minute what I'm talking about. So what I really do see here with a big portion of relief, the ocean doesn't squeeze water to no end in there. So we're actually safe from a flash flooding. Okay, so there we go. Whole chamber is now brim filled. And the next thing we do is we pull that lever again to raise the bridge again. And it stops the water from flowing. Next step, we close the hatch here. So we entrap the rest of the water here. There we go. And now we flip the switch here. And can't flip the switch yet again. And as you see here, the entire floor is now filled with 1 and 2 high water thingies, and these dissipate over time. If the water is only 1 or 2 deep, the water will dissipate over time. And after dissipating, it will transform into muddy soil that we can use for farming's sake. And that's how we secured our food income. So, well, booze income, but for dwarves, one thing is saying to the other. Dwarves, if I remember correctly, drink 4 or 5 times more than they eat. So we're also ordering here our planter to just gather whatever he can. The stuff that grows up here is usually either something you can turn into cloth, into food, or into booze. Or even several things at once, if I'm not mistaken. Anywho, this will give us the plants that we need to get ourselves into the transition until this farming chamber is finally done. Because it will take a couple of days, if not an entire season for that, to be fully operational. Okay, but we're making fine progress, aren't we? So, let's see. This is one exploratory tunnel. Right? Right. And it is still connected with the rest of the colony, so I'm not interested in that. What we're going to do before this episode is ending is I want to dig a deep shaft away from the rest of my city. Somewhere like here. Deeper than anything we have dug so far. There we go. Now we're going deeper than our previous attempts. I just want to have a staircase where I'm probing how deep I can go before I spot any trouble, which is not connected with the rest of the fortress. Because this way, if something bad would swarm out of that hole, oh, look at that. If something bad would swarm out of that hole, we'd be immediately informed and safe from that. So I'm doing something that's really important to me, but I'm afraid that I won't like the outcome of that. So I'm breaching this, and it's not immediately flowing through with water. That could it be the case that if I am lucky, that's an indicator that there is no heavy aquifer here. Quickly send in somebody to smooth the walls, because that should fix the water problem. I'm not mistaken. And we're going to try and breach through the aquifer. So it seems as if my sorrows were completely unnecessary. There is no heavy aquifer around us. There is merely an ocean that I tapped accidentally, I bet. So it must be the waves, like the comment has implored. Oh, I'm so relieved. I thought that we would be in heavy aquifer territory. I mean, basically, I wouldn't say I know how to breach through aquifer to heavy aquifers anymore, because it's been a damn long time since I did that the last time, but I know that it works and that it just requires a couple of screw pumps at the end of the day. Okay, so that's a that's a piece of exciting news. We are getting ourselves now deeper and deeper. Okay, so that's a depth where we are clearly out of danger, and now we're going to set a excavation mark. This is while I'm holding left shift, going like 30 stories deep. I'm going to go really crazy now in terms of depth because I want to know what we're going to find deeper, and I want to try and breach into the cavern layer. So there is another layer of aquifer. That's highly unusual. I am used to aquifers that are, well, I'm not used to several layers of aquifer on one map. That's all I want to say. So we're gonna be working ourselves through that. So this is basically the demo, so to say. You know, we're just checking out how we're going to work for real with the rest of the mine. And another nice caveat here is if I manage to punch a hole into the caverns here, it will result in us having access to cave moss much, much earlier. I just have to be careful now that this thing doesn't get flooded. The water is already 2 of 7, so we really got urgency is really important. So all right, that's a deep one. That's a moist one too. So what I'm gonna do now is I actually will let that evaporate. It's much wiser than forcing myself through that, you know. So here, by the way, we have reached what I wanted: finest farming soil. It's muddied. It's good for us. So here come the farming plots. I'll be putting them up like that because that's, you know, I don't know, that pattern grew close to me. We have now access to 4 different spots. That's pretty cool. And we can easily grow the things that we need for our young fortress here. 4 spots will be probably enough. I'll be monitoring this and see once it dries up. I'll be digging a little bit deeper. If it dries up, I have no clue. Fluid systems in this game are sometimes more than complicated. Anyways, we got that. I am very, very happy that we got that. Food stockpiles are increasing. Drink stockpiles are increasing. I'd say we are on a really, really good way right now. You see, we're even brewing booze out of parsnips. I don't know, dwarves can make alcohol out of practically everything. Parsnip wine. Who would have thought? Anyways, so boat throwers' basic economy has been secured. The biggest issue that I see with this fortress so far is that I still struggle with the basic idea where to set up my premises, where to set up the fortress for real. We've been confronted with several layers of aquifer now, so I'll put that into my considerations. Next episode, I will have much more of a plan how to grow the fortress for real. Don't you worry. For today, I really felt like it's gonna be enough to set the irrigation up and get it up and running. And, you know, I think I wasn't mistaken. We did a great job here. The irrigation is complete. We can now plan out whatever we need. And, yeah. It'll be great. So we're going to set up the plump helmets there. In case you're wondering why it looks like that, I'm running a mod that allows you to plant everything subterranean the entire year for, because I found it absolutely ridiculous to have a binding to seasons when I'm planting stuff underground. That doesn't make sense to me. So we're not going to go for pigtails or anything else for now, because I don't want to overburden my industry. You see, we only have a very, very low amount of workers, and therefore I don't want to put up too many jobs. That rarely ends up well. So we got to optimize a lot of things here, but I think I'll drop the ball for today here. I thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed the ride, and if you are down for more gameplays from my side, in the comment section I have put a link to my secondary gameplay channel. Once it hits 1,000 subscribers, there'll be more content there than ever. Also, quick pointer to Patreon, PayPal, and Buy Me a Coffee. These series, as much as I love them, they are a lot of work, and I rarely get the payback in terms of the time invested. So you could help me out there, because the more support I receive, the more of these series I make, the more you can watch, the more time you can enjoy. I think it's a very nice principle. But anyway, even if you don't want to or you can't watch out for these thingies, I thank you so much for watching this video, because that's the biggest support of them all, because what's a creator without his audience? That being said, I hope you have a great day and see you soon.